I spent years saving our dying family business, only to be betrayed in the end. Watching it crumble now is the greatest revenge. I dedicated almost my entire life to the family business. I had a promising career in technology, which I gave up to save the business during difficult times. My family decided to thank me for my efforts by making my brother the sole heir. Honestly, that was the biggest betrayal of my life, probably the most disrespectful thing anyone has ever done to me. I decided to leave and start my own business, and seeing how things turned out for my brother and the family company became my ultimate revenge. For some context, my great-grandfather founded a small import business that was passed down through generations. My father and grandfather poured their hearts and souls into it, and things were going well. But when I was 24, tragedy struck our family. My father had a serious accident that resulted in significant brain damage. He was paralyzed for nearly 2 years, and my brother and I had to take over the business. My brother decided he didn't want the responsibility and essentially ran away. I couldn't abandon something I knew was so dear to my father. My great-grandfather had passed away when I was around 9 or 10, and I knew he would have been devastated if no one in the family took responsibility. At that time, I had just started working in the tech industry and had already secured a promising position, but I chose to leave and I don't regret it to this day. I devoted the best years of my life to the business, working hard to make it thrive. While I didn't achieve massive success, the company had its highest profits in decades. However, all my efforts were in vain when my brother, who had never worked a single day in the company, inherited it. That was a complete shock to me. My father passed away last month. When I read the will, I learned that almost the entire company had been left to my brother. I was retained as the CEO and was supposed to receive a good salary, but my brother got ownership and full control over all decisions. I wasn't expecting this, and honestly, I was deeply disappointed. I had poured my heart and soul into this business, and my father's decision felt like a betrayal. I asked my mother if she knew about it, and she said my father had discussed it with her before his death. That was another blow. His reasoning was that my brother needed to learn responsibility, and my leadership would help him. My mother tried to console me by saying I would still earn the same salary, but it was never about the money. I felt that all my efforts had been completely disregarded and that I deserved more. I didn't want to be my brother's babysitter, taking on all the responsibility while he enjoyed being the chairman. After much thought, I decided to leave the company. I didn't want to work a single day alongside my brother. I had enough savings to support myself while figuring out my next career move. I knew that with my experience and reputation, finding a good job wouldn't be too difficult, so I wasn't worried. I quit before my brother even officially took over. Now, let me tell you about my brother. Even as a child, he was lazy, irresponsible, and constantly wasted money on stupid things. He loved living lavishly but never put in any effort to earn it. We grew up in a fairly wealthy family, so he got used to that lifestyle without ever considering how it was funded. To put it bluntly, he saw money as something he was entitled to. I already mentioned that he refused to take responsibility when my father had his accident, and the business urgently needed leadership. Still, at first, I hoped that becoming the sole heir would push him to change and start making the right decisions. I tried giving him advice, but he always brushed me off, insisting he knew what he was doing. He was annoyed that I quit and rudely told me he'd handle things himself. It quickly became clear that he had no idea what he was doing. He started recklessly spending company money, hiring his unqualified friends for key positions, and throwing lavish parties to impress them. Meanwhile, our clients were becoming increasingly dissatisfied. A few months into his leadership, my brother decided it was time to start manufacturing something that had been my father's dream, but I had deliberately postponed it due to its complexity. I think my brother believed he was competent enough to handle it. Spoiler, he wasn't. Less than 6 months after I left, the business started collapsing. The products were so low quality that the company lost a massive amount of money without securing a single distributor. The company was bleeding money at a catastrophic rate, and my brother had no idea how to fix it. I found out about all this because it became common knowledge. Then, I started receiving calls and messages from employees who had stayed after I left. They were begging me to return and save the business. At first, I was tempted to step in, but then I remembered how my brother had treated me and how he was squandering everything I had worked so hard to build. I realized he needed to learn his lesson, so I chose to just watch. The best part? My brother eventually reached out to me himself. He admitted that the company was in trouble and that he needed my help to get things back on track. I asked if he was willing to step down and make me the rightful heir if I returned. He refused and instead offered me more money. I declined. It was never about money. I left because I deserve more respect. Now, the company is nearly bankrupt, and my brother is left with nothing. His friends abandoned him, and he now has to deal with the mess he created. Most employees were either fired or left on their own. It's a sinking ship. I won't lie, I feel some satisfaction seeing him face the consequences. After all, he made my life hell while I worked there, and now he's getting what he deserves. But I also understand that bankruptcy has real consequences for the employees who worked hard for the company. It also stings to know that a business that had been in our family for generations has completely collapsed. But I have no regrets about leaving. Update 1. Wow, I'm blown away by the response to my post. Thank you all for your support and encouragement. It was great to read your comments and realize I'm not alone in this kind of situation. I've taken time to think about my next steps, and I think I have a plan. In the future, I want to start my own business, but for now, I'll try to find a new job using my skills and experience. I'm excited to see where this journey takes me, and will keep you updated on my progress. I shouldn't have too much trouble finding something, but in this economy, you never know how things will turn out. Wish me luck! Update 2. It's been a few months since my last update, and I'm happy to say that I've found a new job. It's not as great as I hoped, but it's more than enough for now. The job has been challenging, and I'm still adjusting to working for someone else instead of making all the decisions myself. As for the family business, it's a sad story. Many of you asked about my brother and what he's been up to. Well, there's almost nothing left of the company. As far as I know, he sold it and is now struggling financially. He had to sell his luxury cars and townhouse. I don't know where he's living now, and I no longer keep in touch with my mother. I know my father left her enough money to live comfortably for the rest of her life, and I would help her if she ever needed it. My issue is with my brother, not her. It's unfortunate how things turned out, but I've moved on and I'm looking forward to the future. Thanks again for your support, it means a lot to me. Update 3. Hey everyone, it's been a while since my last update, and I have some good news. I'm working on my own startup. After almost a year in my current job, I managed to gather the necessary resources. Now, I have a small but dedicated team, and we're working on some exciting projects. It's been a lot of work, but I'm incredibly happy with how things have turned out. As for the family business, it officially no longer exists. It's a sad end to a long legacy, but sometimes that's just how it goes. I'm grateful for the lessons I learned along the way, and excited for what's ahead. Thank you all for your support.